Welcome to Exhuming the Truth, the podcast where we delve into the mysterious worlds of cold cases, missing persons, true crime, and the fascinating science that is forensics. I'm forensic scientist and criminologist Asha Walther, and I am so thrilled to have you with me on this journey as we dance in the shadows of the world of crime, shining a light on scientific discovery while becoming another voice for those who need it most. So grab a drink and get comfortable while we jump into this episode together. As always, I would like to extend a content and trigger warning. This podcast is recommended for persons over the age of 18 and contains explicit content not suitable for minors. We will be covering sensitive content that ranges from sexual assault, physical, mental, social and emotional abuse, suicide, homicide, murder, attempted murder and other violent crimes, including crimes involving weapons and drugs. This often extends to drug misuse and other harmful and illegal activity. If you find any content to be distressing, I have listed a number of resources that may be able to help you in the podcast notes. I would like to also remind our listeners that all victims and all perpetrators are someone's loved one. So I ask that any discussions in our group or on our social accounts remain respectful of that at all times. And by listening, you acknowledge that all persons of interest remain innocent until proven otherwise. Hi guys, it's me. Happy, what day is it? It's Tuesday here today while I'm recording, but happy whatever day it is to you, morning or evening. What have I got for your housekeeping this week? Well, I have just switched over hosts, so that's basically where I upload and manage all of my podcasts. I am now using Spotify. I have no idea how this is going to go, so hopefully it goes smoothly. You will notice that our Buzzsprout website is no longer up. That's just because we're having a little bit of maintenance and making a brand new website. So hopefully that's going to be awesome. And another new thing is we have a new logo, which is really nice. I'm really happy with it. You'll notice when you take a closer look at it that it is an eye, yes, but it is made up of lots of different fingerprints to represent numerous identities that we cover and uncover in this podcast. So I hope you like it. I have a bit of a random pairing for you today on this episode. We're having an update on the Menendez Brothers. And also I have a little bonus segment called Beyond the Game, which is addressing men's mental health in sport, which is really important because as we've seen in Australia on the news, the loss of Adam Selwood, who unfortunately passed away due to mental health. So I want to have a little chat about that because that is, of course, very much relevant to everything that we talk about. Aside from that, housekeeping, I don't have a whole lot to report. I had both of the kids home sick today. I'm still a little bit croaky, but I feel entirely fine. We are lucky enough to be going off to Margaret River on Thursday afternoon and returning Saturday morning to watch some of the Margaret River Pro, given that it is a go-ahead thanks to the weather. But we always love going down there, so I can't wait for that. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. And let's talk about the Menendez Brothers. So this case wasn't as widely known until its little series on Netflix came along, which was brilliant, I might add. I'm sure Milli Vanilli also got a heap of extra plays thanks to that show as well, because it certainly did in my car. But anyway, as of the 14th of May, Erik and Lyle Menendez have been resentenced by a California judge, making them eligible for parole after serving over 35 years in prison for the 1989 murders of their parents Jose and Kitty Menendez. How, do you ask? Well, originally the duo was sentenced to life without parole in 1996. However, at the time of their crimes, they were under the age of 26, which actually falls under the category of a youthful offender in California. So the sentence reduction to 50 years to life allows parole to those who fall under that youth offender law. How and why, you might be thinking? The resentencing was actually influenced by new evidence. So there was a letter that Erik had wrote before the murders that referenced the abuse that he suffered, as well as allegations from Roy Rossello, who was a former member of the band Menudo, I hope I pronounced that right, who had accused Jose Menendez of sexual assault in the 80s. So the existence of these two pieces of evidence together have understandably also, again, after the Netflix miniseries highlighting the case, So those two have both garnered public sympathy and renewed interest in the case. So during their time in prison, the brothers have both pursued higher education and initiated programs that assist elderly prisoners, which demonstrates efforts toward rehabilitation. Family members and former inmates testified in support of their release, highlighting their remorse and positive contributions inside the prison. So what now? There is a parole board hearing that is set for June the 13th, and they're going to all sit down there to evaluate their eligibility for release. So the governor, by the name of Gavin Newsom, has indicated that he'll wait for the outcome of this hearing before he considers any clemency decisions. So if the pair are granted parole, the brothers could be released. But regardless of the decision at the parole board hearing, that governor will retain the authority to grant clemency, which could result in reduced sentences or immediate release over parole. So if parole and clemency are denied, the brothers will just continue to serve their sentences with any future parole opportunities subject to review. So I hope that makes sense. I will update you if any new information comes up. My personal opinion on this case is pretty strong. I did know about it before the miniseries, but essentially I think the years that they've served, 35 years, you guys, and what they have done in that time period is enough to release them. I know not everyone agrees with that. However, if it were up to me, which it definitely is not, I'd love to see them be released and also continue to do their work within the prisons in helping the other inmates. I think that's really awesome. I think they made a really good example of the changes that you can make and the changes that you want to see as somebody, in the larger society. You want to see those types of changes happening from people in incarceration, and it's really rare. So if you're unsure what I'm on about, during that 35-year period of them being inside, they engaged in multiple rehab activities and initiatives. So Lyle gained a sociology degree. Pardon me, that was a tongue twister. And he was actually elected by his fellow inmates as their representative with the prison administration for the last 20 years, which is huge. And Erik also obtained a degree in behavioural and social sciences. The duo then co-founded a project called the Green Space Project, which aims to transform the prison yard into a more humane environment. So they want to do that and have started to do that by having outdoor classrooms, rehab group meeting spaces, and the part that I love, training areas for service dogs. If you've seen Pibbles and Parolees, you know. Erik has also provided hospice care to fellow inmates and offers support to those nearing the end of their lives. I love that. I also don't think the boys got the right amount of acknowledgement from the justice system for their upbringing under Jose. But again, I know there's a lot of conflicting opinions on this, and I appreciate that. But I do really believe that they have served their time and served it well. So I'm hoping that they do get out on parole at the least. And I hope that if they do, they continue to make good choices. That sounded really weird because that's a phrase I use with my dogs every day. I'm like, make good choices. But anyway, yes, we'll put that update to bed now, and I want to move forward until I've got anything new to report. And I thought this case would be the perfect addition to add some bonus content that I have named, again, Beyond the Game. And basically the purpose of this little extra is to open up the discussion about addressing men's mental health, and particularly men's mental health in sport. So it's 2025. This year, Australians have watched on as we lost not one but two Selwood brothers. The passing of both Troy and Adam Selwood is a sombre reminder that behind the accolades and athleticism and brotherhood, many men grapple with their silent battles, and the landscape of suicide amongst men looks like this. In Australia, suicide is the leading cause of death for men between ages 15 to 44, which accounts for an enormous 75% of all suicide deaths in this country. Alarmingly, nearly 2 in 5 Australian men die prematurely, often due to preventable causes. Globally, men are more than twice as likely to die by suicide compared to women. I'm a mum of 2 boys, okay, and I have a fiance who plays footy, and these stats really scare me. And I don't think you need to be, someone who is a mother to boys to be frightened by these stats. I think everybody should be frightened by these stats. I've lost way too many childhood friends to mental health, and the scariest part, I think, is knowing that this is an entirely preventable manner of death. This is the only manner of death that we sit here and talk about, and we know that we can prevent this. But what are we doing? This is not like other major diseases that we're desperately searching for a medical cure. We actually genuinely have the power here to make an impact. Sport for so many Aussies and people globally, but particularly here in Australia, it is a huge, huge outlet for many men and women. But men in particular, the world of sports, it promotes physical prowess, yes, but that comes with the perpetuation of a culture of stoicism. We have former AFL star Matthew Richardson candidly sharing his silent battle with depression during his early career setbacks, and he emphasised the macho culture in sports that discouraged discussing mental health issues. Then we have traditional male bonding, which often revolves around activities like drinking and partying and ignoring the real problem. You've seen it, like a tap on the shoulder and a beer, and it all goes away. But it doesn't. However, alcohol, as we know, is a depressant, which can exacerbate mental health issues, particularly in the following hours and days after alcohol consumption. It's absolutely crucial to foster environments where men can connect without the crutch of alcohol. You might not be able to tell when someone is at their lowest, but you can encourage open dialogues about mental health in locker rooms, in clubs, and amongst friends, and take those conversations seriously. Not just here, have a beer and a pat on the back. You put your devices away and you give someone your time. You promote events and gatherings that don't always centre around alcohol. And of course, accessibility to resources for the supporting communities are a given. The loss of the Selwood brothers hit so many of us so hard. As a teen, I was a die-hard Selwood brothers fan. I was an Eagles supporter, of course. Since we were living in Melbourne at that time, when I was in high school, there were never any other West Coast supporters until I changed to a different school in year 9 and I met one girl, Georgie, absolute legend. And she was an Eagles gal like myself, and we used to bicker back and forth all the time about who was the best Selwood brother. You grew up thinking people are indestructible in a way, but until it starts hitting you that this could really happen to anyone, to any of your family, that's when it hits hard. This is a poignant reminder, however, of the work that lies ahead. By challenging traditional norms and fostering supportive environments and having uncomfortable conversations, we can make strides in addressing men's mental health, both on and off the field. If you or anyone you know are experiencing mental health struggles, you can always reach out to Lifeline, the Black Dog Institute, or any of the other organisations listed in our notes for help. We might not be able to influence changes on a government or state level regarding the cost of mental health services, and boy, are they high. But what we can do is something we can do right now, and that's just showing up for your mates. Don't wait for Are You OK Day to ask your mates if they're actually doing okay. Before I go, I just want to share a few things that have been super helpful for me, and it's no secret, if you're a listener and you know me, that I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder after my accident in 2011. I try and speak up about it quite often, not for my own benefit, but so whoever I'm talking to and spending time with is aware and they feel comfortable to then talk about any of their mental health concerns with me. I want everyone I talk to know that they have a space that they can do that with me, and I make a big effort to do that. I suck at replying to texts and inboxes. My phone has literally never been off silent, but I do make a conscious effort to reach out to people, just even to let them know, hey, I was thinking about you today and how is everything? I'm happy to say that for myself, I'm medicated, and I have been for the last 2 years, and even that in itself is important to note that while medication is certainly not the be-all and end-all, and it's not for everyone in its entirety, medication for me made the difference between actually getting out of bed and showering, and for me, those things were huge. Obviously, again, everyone is different, and you should have a chat to your GP if you were struggling and see what options there are. But another thing I did for myself was entirely out of character for me, since I'm incredibly antisocial and introverted. But I signed up to an 8-week program, and I have said it before and I'll say it again. This program may very well have contributed to me still being here today. In this program, I was taught coping mechanisms to help me through the worst time of my life, and I am forever grateful to this company and this foundation. This program was run by WOW Foundation, which is Waves of Wellness. It's Australia-wide, and they offer free, and no, I'm not kidding, free surf therapy programs. No fine print. It is literally free. I used to be a surfer, so this was an added bonus for me, but you don't need any surfing skills whatsoever as long as you can swim. It's all about listening to others and learning about their coping strategies and offering yours and getting off your devices and getting into the ocean. That 8 weeks was honestly amazing, and I was so sad that I couldn't go back because every single program they run near me, I see it come up and I'm like, damn it, I want to do that, but I've already done it. And obviously they like to spare up spaces for those who haven't had the experience yet. But during this program, I learnt so much about myself and so many different ways to cope during those really tricky times. And I actually found myself laughing again after putting on a fake smile for quite some time. So please do yourself a favour and have a look at them if you can find them on Instagram, Waves of Wellness or WOW Foundation. They're also on Facebook. They do have a website. It will change your life if you sign up to this, I promise. This is totally out of my own love and advice. There's no sponsorship in this at all. I wish it was a sponsorship so I could just rock up to any surf therapy program and do it all over again. And let me tell you, I was not the only one out of my particular therapy group who wishes they could go back and do it. That was generally the feedback from everyone was like, can I go again? Can I be in the next one? It was awesome. I'm still in contact with a few of the girls from my group and who I otherwise never would have connected with. Like, we really have nothing else in common. And I think that is the beauty of it, really, is getting to know others and how different they are, but they're also struggling on the same sort of similar level to you, and you connect through that. And like, I was giving advice on what I do, but I was taking others' advice, and that worked better for me. So yeah, that program was amazing. I honestly can't recommend it enough. The second piece of advice I have off my own bat is a mental wellness program called SANE. That's SANE. You can look them up. They offer free counselling and guided support through mental health problems. They also help through times of trauma, and if you're having continual resistance to other mental health services like medication or therapy. They have been amazing so far and so awesome, because with all of my existing medical problems from my accident and my disability, I really don't have the time or energy or motivation to head out to yet another medical appointment. And SANE is completely remote. Like, I can participate on my phone or my laptop in my pajamas, and I feel like it's really helping me through my MDD and other issues that I'm facing. And again, also not sponsored at all. Just a second thing I've personally experienced and can't recommend high enough, and both free, which is incredible. So there's no barriers to access. Particularly to this one because it's remote, so you can be in your bedroom and no one's ever going to know that you're receiving help, but you're doing it, and it doesn't have to be a big thing to those around you. The work that both of these organisations do and the things that they offer are literally out there saving lives. So even if you might not be personally interested in any of this advice, you can take them as tools for your own tool belt when you have a mate in need, and you've got that as a tool to suggest to them, and it might save them. So there's those. Also, before I run away, I want to say that there is an organisation in Melbourne that was created when their family member passed away due to mental health, and it's called It's Okay Not to Be Okay. I'd honestly be shocked if you're an Australian and you have not heard of this organisation. I was a mutual childhood friend of Ben's, and his beautiful family, have covered so much ground in the mental health space in his honour. So you can check them out too. Very special work that they do, and all of the events they organise are awesome. And they even stock and sell some merchandise. I'm literally wearing one of their wristbands right now, and I have done that for years since I've owned it. I've got a t-shirt, a singlet, and a hoodie. And they've just got a new range of beanies out. This is also not sponsored, but their stuff is awesome, and they do some really great work in the mental health area. And they also share stories of others on their page, which is so helpful for others in connecting and resonating with people. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. So thank you for sticking around. And on a final note, I just want to say, guys, cheer louder for your mates while they're still here. Don't leave the cheering for their funeral and, pouring your heart out and what you really think about them. They need to know while they're here. So that's my last little bit. I hope everybody is doing well and taking care of themselves. And thank you for listening to this. I know it's a bit left of centre, but suicide is most certainly a manner of death, and it's extremely prevalent and important. So I wanted to add that in there. So enjoy the rest of your day or night. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it here. If so, you can subscribe to stay up to date on new episodes, or you can find us on both Instagram and Facebook. Please feel free to jump onto our Facebook group to join in on the case discussions. You can find the link to our group in our podcast notes. As always, stay curious, stay informed, and until next time, trust your instincts and keep seeking the truth.